Hi, folks. This is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report. You know, when I was at one of the shows that I went to, I met a man just by happenstance. There was no reason for him to come over in the booth other than somebody said to him, "You might want to go over and talk to Don." Why? I don't know. But he came over, and his name is Alberto Nye. And I'm sure you can go on Google this man. He's quite famous, and he had been brought to this sports show to talk to people about his quest, which is to catch giant fish. He's not interested in catching a whole bunch of fish or anything else. His life has sort of taken a turn, and that's the direction he goes, to try to catch these trophy fish. And he's caught world records of several species. So he was there to tell people how he would, if he was teaching them how to do this, these were I remember in his seminar, he says, you better all be taking notes. And so one of the things that he stressed, and I think we can take this to be any place we're going fishing, a lot of what he fishes are saltwater, giant saltwater fish. But the same thing applies in freshwater. And it's all based on the moon and upon tides. And basically what he's telling them, if they want one time, telling his audience, the people that want to learn about this, is that the one time that you have your best chance of catching that monster fish that's your bucket list, that's all of our dreams, is to catch this huge trophy fish. The one time that it's most likely to happen is at that slack period before any tidal movement. In other words, not when the tide is coming in big time, not when the tide is going out big time. It's that slack period when the water slows down. And, you know, when you think about it, at this time, it's the easiest for the hunter to go on the prowl, and the hunter being these big, massive fish. This is when they have the least resistance because everything is slack. Thought this was a fascinating premise. It makes all kinds of sense. It's the same thing. I've told you that the best fishing that I have in our tributaries is in the middle of the summer when the water is its slowest pace. It's not that you want slack, stagnant water. That's not what you want at all. You got to have oxygen. You got to have that water bubbling and moving to some degree. But when that water slows down in the summer because the current isn't as strong, because it's slower, and this is a time that I've caught my biggest and most great fish. And it really does apply. But let me tell you one other thing about the time I spent talking to Alberto. He was born in the Orient someplace. He spent his youth with his brother walking barefoot through the jungles of Brazil. In other words, he was raised probably, and I don't know, I can't go any further than knowing this because I don't know what his socio-economic status was, but I bet they didn't have much money at all. And then as he grew older, he entered the corporate field in New York City. And then one day, he had this severe accident. And the conversation that we had together was about what happened at that moment of the accident. What happened afterward, how this has changed his life since. And I won't get into it, because if I was to tell you his story, you would maybe doubt my ability to understand reality. But I think reality sometimes has no borders, no boundaries. I think it is an aspect of the moment. And so our conversation was so, I want to say deep, and most of the depth was me listening to him tell me about that point in his life and what happened in 2 seconds, because that's what the ambulance people told him. They told him he was dead, and he said they jumped when I opened my eyes and spoke to them. They said, "You were dead. You were pronounced dead." Now, this radio spot is not intended to go any further there, but it's intended to tell you the power. And I talked in another report about how networking, meeting new people, and how it can be so life-strengthening. And I think in this case, the talk that I had with Alberto, I think gave me hope. It gave me a different way of looking at all the things in life that we may not ever understand. but it did give me hope. And again, I thank the fact that I got to do that sports show, that I got to meet somebody of incredible interest, somebody of incredible depth, and somebody that was willing to share a portion of their life with me. Until next time, folks, this is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report.